today's exciting. Now, not because I'm going to do something crazy like some insane shoot or going on some big adventure, but I'm doing some testing. Now for me, testing is like equally as fun as going and doing any of that stuff. And it's because I get to practice, I get to experiment and figure out when I do go do those really cool, awesome shoots, I already know exactly what kinds of techniques I'm going to be using, what kinds of picture profiles I'm going to be using. Where's my string? And speaking of picture profiles, that is what we're testing today. So, you guys all know the argument of Canon versus Sony. And the one really popular thing that Canon has going for them is their color science. Canon is very famous for having very beautiful skin tones and just always being pleasing out of the camera, whereas Sony can sometimes be much more difficult to correct and get some good looking skin tones. So a question that I get asked all the time is, what picture profile are you using on your Sony a7R II? And for the last give or take year and a half, I've been using a Cine 3 profile that's a little bit tweaked. It's something I found online on a forum, and I've been pretty happy for the most part with how the colors have looked. But until recently, until I've been watching a little bit more stuff from other people who've been shooting on Canon a lot, I've been like now slightly unhappy and really want to try something different. Holy. So I'm actually testing a profile right now that is designed to emulate Canon color, and this one in fact is designed to emulate Canon C-Log, which is like the hot new rage right now for Canon DSLRs. It's from a company called EOS HD, and it's something that they've basically done that you can set up in Sony's picture profile menu, change a bunch of settings, and you'll hopefully get something that looks like Canon color. So all of those shots in the beginning I intentionally set up to be very high dynamic shots, meaning that there's a lot of really bright highlights and a lot of really dark shadows, and that's essentially kind of what log can help you with. One, it'll give you more flexibility in post with color grading and color correction. Why are you gonna be interrupting my shot, man? But the other really big part is you can get much better results if you shoot in high dynamic scenarios, so just having extended dynamic range. I'm editing up the footage from outside earlier, riding around on my electric board, and I really gotta say, I'm really impressed. Skin tones in particular have been one thing that I've always really struggled with in color grading my footage. I've always found a difficulty of getting proper looking skin tones. Either my skin would be too magenta, or it would be too yellow, or it would be too green. There would just be some sort of odd tint every time. And now that I'm comparing this footage to a bunch of my older vlogs, I gotta say, this I think might have done the trick for me. I've been a long time Canon fan. I always have been. It's what I first started with when I was first getting into photo and video. So when I made the switch to Sony and got spoiled with all these amazing features like video autofocus, 4K, 1080p at 60 frames, 120 frames, all these amazing picture profiles, I was really sold on Sony. But it really wasn't until I started closely paying attention to other people's work who were shooting with Canon that I really began to miss Canon color. And this is even reflective in some of my photos too. It really hasn't been until recently that I've noticed, like, okay, comparing it to some of my old stuff that I used to shoot when I was with Canon cameras, it doesn't look the same. So the fact that now I'm maybe just a one little step closer to having a little bit more neutral, proper skin tones. I still don't think it's quite there, but it's far closer. I'm happy.